And we back, and today we're continuing our one from every team series. Today we got one burning question for every NBA team coming into this season. Let's waste no more time and get right into it. First with the 76ers, can you win the buyout market once again? Last season they made two big pickups. Pickups that you may not think are big, but end up being very big for them as far as the end of the regular season and then in the playoffs, and that was Marco Bellinelli and then Ersan Ilyasova. Both played extremely big roles as far as their playoff run, and they lost both. So my question for them is, can they pick up similar players to that at the trade deadline? Because I think we can all agree that Ben Simmons is one of those players that's maximized when he has great shooters around them, and losing Marco and losing Ersan Ilyasova, they don't have that great shooting as much as they did last year. So can they bring that back at the trade deadline? The Bucks, will you finally make it out of the first round? They've lost their last 8 playoff series, which means that the last 8 times they made the playoffs, they were unable to get out of the first round. The last time they got out of the first round, I think you had Ray Allen on the team, and that was like in the year 2000. Could this be the year they make it out of the first round? They made some changes to their roster, and we got to see how Brook Lopez. Y'all know I'm always thinking Chicago, baby. How Brook Lopez fits into their offense. Can they finally make it out of the first round? The Bulls, what are you? Are you a playoff team, or are you just a team that's gonna be bad again? I think we'll find this out in the first couple months of the season, but the whole city of Chicago, 50% of them think that we can make the playoffs, and then 50% of them think we won't make the playoffs. So answer the question, what are you as a team? The Cavaliers, can you stay competitive? We just saw them give big time money to Kevin Love. They probably said, Kevin, we want you to be our star player for years to come. But me and you both know that they may trade him in a year or two. But Dan Gilbert has expressed that they do want to stay competitive and try to make the playoffs again without LeBron. They don't want to rebuild again. Now, if you take a look at this roster, it's not a terrible roster. You know, they did play terrible in the playoffs with LeBron, but I don't think they're a terrible roster, and they do have potential to potentially make the playoffs, so they got to answer that to us. The Celtics, how do you manage the minutes? They got so many quality players on this roster. Everybody needs to play. So who's going to take that minute cut? Because you got to think about it. Now you got to insert Gordon Hayward, and you got to reinsert Kyrie Irving. Does that mean that Marcus Morris gets a little less minutes? Does Marcus Smart get a little less minutes? Is it Terry Rozier? Some people's minutes are going to get cut, and Brad Stevens has to figure out a rotation to keep A, everybody happy, and B, keep everybody winning. The Clippers, can this style of rebuild work in today's league? You see a lot of teams bottoming out. They're going to trade all their star players, and then it's going to be bad for years to come to get good draft picks to eventually get back to the point where they're winning. But the Clippers taking a different approach where they want to stay relatively competitive while also rebuilding. My question is, does that really work? The Grizzlies, is this roster good enough to turn things around immediately? Last year, they were one of the worst teams in the league. But then again, Marc Gasol was out for a lot of the season. Then Mike Conley was out for a lot of the season. You add both of those players back, their 2 best players back, a great rookie prospect in Jaren Jackson Jr. You went out to sign Kyle Anderson. You got some grind back. You got Javon Carter. Is this team good enough to turn it around after 1 year? The Hawks, how good can Trae Young be? You make the Dennis Schroeder trade, and then boom, you like, here go the keys, Trae. It's your turn to shine. It's Trae season. And then we saw in the summer league, there were games where he looked atrocious, he looked terrible, and there was other games where he looked really good. So the middle, like, where is he gonna end up being? Again, I don't want you to judge him based off his rookie season. It takes years upon years to for a player to really hit their full potential. But it's still a question we need to know: was it worth the trade? Because they had Luka. Was it worth the trade? The Heat, what do you do with Whiteside? I strolled through the Miami Heat subreddit a lot, and a lot of the fans, at least from what I've read, are not that fond of Whiteside anymore. Do you want to trade Whiteside? I mean, you got Bam Adebayo, who just looked really good last year in the minutes that he was played. Do you want to trade Hassan Whiteside? What team would trade for Hassan Whiteside? And then I see the memes on Twitter, like every player in the NBA is working in the offseason, except for Hassan Whiteside. And that's coming from Heat fans. The Hornets, what are you doing? I've been asking y'all this question for years now. I just really don't know what the objective of the Hornets is. They threw so much money at players. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Marvin Williams, the Zeller brother, Nicholas Batum got a crazy contract. I'm guessing their goal was to compete. But you look at this roster, it ain't good enough to compete. And then you're wasting the prime years of Kemba Walker. But now things are maybe turning around a little bit. They got Mitch Kupchak in the front office. Maybe he can help them out. But still, I don't know what their future looks like. Next, we got the Utah Jazz. And the big question is, how good can this defense stay? When Rudy Gobert was out there on the court, they were the #1 defense in the league last year. And if you look at any power rankings for this season, you know, people predicting how good teams are going to be, the Utah Jazz are always around the 6, 7, 8 round, which means that most NBA experts think they're the 6th, 7th, or 8th best team in the league. And I'm guessing a lot of that has to do based on the defense. But if somehow the defense takes a step back, then maybe the Utah Jazz is not as good this upcoming season as we want them to be. With the Kings, my question to them is, how many of their prospects are there for the long-term goal? The Kings have been rebuilding for 12 years now. Yeah, it's been 12 years. They've been rebuilding for 12 years. And because of this, like they have this large portion of their roster that is under the age of 25. My question for them is, how many of these guys are going to be there for your long-term goal? I'm guessing eventually they want to hit the playoffs again. I would hope so. So, of course, Marvin Bagley and then De'Aaron Fox, I feel like those are your two pieces that you're 100% sure you want to have on your future team that makes the playoffs. But is Buddy Hield really going to be a guy that's going to contribute for a playoff team? Is the Jackson guy, is it Justin Jackson? Like, how many of these guys are really going to be there when you need them to be there? It's been 12 years, y'all. Kings fans, you've been suffering for way too long. Hopefully, y'all get it turned around soon. With the Knicks, my question to them is, what do they have in Frank Ntilikina? You can go on YouTube and type in Frank Ntilikina versus, and it'll say versus like Damian Lillard. And then you can watch Frank Ntilikina lock up some of the best players in the league. But eventually, he's going to have to develop some type of offensive game. And my question to them is, will he ever develop that? Do you want your starting guard to not have an offensive game at all? The Lakers. Was it smart to make the signings that you did sign? Of course, the LeBron James signing is amazing. There is no question about that. But the Rondo, JaVale McGee, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope coming back, Lance Stevenson, Michael Beasley, those are 5 guys that are on one-year deals, which means that they're going to play their hardest, which sounds like a great thing, but they're also playing their hardest for their next contract. Michael Beasley may go out there and try to jack up some crazy shots because he know other teams are watching and he need a contract for next season. Same thing with Lance Stevenson. Same thing with JaVale McGee. These are guys that are going to be free agents next year and they want to impress. And maybe you don't want those players that are trying to impress too hard because that takes away from the team value. Now, I understand that the Lakers wanted to sign these players on one-year deals, so next offseason they have the money to sign a max player. But as far as this year goes, was it that smart to give the players that you gave that money? Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for $12 million is a crazy amount of money if you ask me. With the Magic, my question to them is, where's the offense going to come from? That's it. They were the 25th worst or best? How do you want to say this? They were a bottom 5 offense last year, and they didn't really address that issue. Maybe Aaron Gordon takes another step and he averages 20 this year. I don't really know, but they need some type of offense. Maybe it's John Isaac. I don't know, but they have to score the ball, and they ain't really got scores on their squad. With the Mavericks, is Luka the real deal? That's my question, at least. Somebody did send me some highlights of him going against the OKC Thunder in like a preseason game or something like that, and he looked pretty solid. But again, that was from years ago. I need to see an upgraded version of Luka against NBA talent, so we just got to wait until, I guess, the preseason this year. With the Nets, my main question is, can you entice a big-name free agent to sign there next offseason? They're going to have 2 max contract spots. Sean Marks has done a beautiful job with the Brooklyn Nets over the past couple years, but can he get a big name free agent to sign to Brooklyn? The Nuggets is just, how healthy is Michael Porter Jr. going to be? Michael Porter Jr. has the potential to be the biggest steal in draft history, or he has the potential to not really play throughout his NBA career. So my main question is, can this back get healed enough to actually contribute, whether it be this year or next year or the year after that? Regardless, they got some question marks there. The Pacers, can Victor Oladipo keep up that all-star caliber play? It was 1 year. I need to see more. You know, in order for me to put him in that top ranking, and when we're ranking NBA players, I need to see more years of just one of him being a superstar. That's it. Can he keep it up? We've seen players having a magnificent year once and then fall off, so we just need Victor Oladipo to keep it up. But from everything I see from his offseason workouts, I feel like he is going to keep it up, but it's still a question mark. With the Pelicans, can Elfrid Payton and Julius Randle live up to what Rondo and Boogie Cousins were last year? That's pretty much it. Those are big shoes to fill. Rondo being as good as he was in the playoffs, and then Boogie being as good as he was before he went down with his Achilles injury. Big shoes to fill, and then if they don't fill those shoes, then maybe the Pelicans don't make the playoffs, so they need these players to fill those shoes. With the Pistons, is Ken Dwayne Casey turning around, man? Stan Van Gundy made a trade last season to try to keep his job. It didn't work out. He brought in Blake Griffin, traded with Avery Bradley, Tobias Harris, and then boom, now this team is in salary cap hell, and then their team is not that good. So maybe Dwayne Casey can turn it around and get them to be a playoff team like Stan Van Gundy thought that trade was going to do. Maybe the good coaching can elevate this team. Maybe not. Maybe they make some big-time trades sometime throughout the season. I don't really know. But Dwayne Casey may be the answer to finally get Detroit back to the playoffs. The Raptors. Y'all know where I'm going with this one. Can you get Kawhi Leonard to re-sign? That's it. If you get Kawhi Leonard to re-sign, it's a GG. You win. You win the trade. You win this offseason. If next offseason Kawhi Leonard signs his name next to the Toronto Raptors logo, you win. But if you don't, you lose. So the main question is, can you get him in this one season to see everything that's beautiful about Toronto? Can the fans cheer him on enough for him to say, I'll stay? For the Rockets, my question is, how much of a hit is their defense going to take? They were a top 6 defense last year, and then you lose Trevor Ariza, you lose Bob Moute, you bring in Melo. Defensively, you lost something there. So my main question to them is, can they keep up how good they were on defense? And I mean, that matters. I mean, part of them being in the conference finals and one game away is that defensively they play pretty well. Now, no Trevor Ariza, no Bob Moute, maybe that falls off. With the Spurs, it's basically just how do you incorporate DeMar DeRozan into their offense. That's pretty much it. A lot of mid-range jumpers coming out of San Antonio this year between LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. But I think it's going to work. When you got a legendary coach, potentially the best basketball coach of all time on your squad, I think you'll be okay. You know, they won 40-plus games without Kawhi last year, and then you substitute no Kawhi for DeMar DeRozan. I think you'll be fine, but they still got to figure it out. For the Suns, is it time to start winning again? It's been 8 years since you made the playoffs, and you've hit on some draft picks. You missed on a couple, but potentially it looked like you hit on DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker looked like a bona fide star. So is it time for them to be like, you know what? Forget this whole tanking situation we've been on the past couple years. It's time to win games. I hope so. I want to see them win. I want to see them win. It's been too long. Will OKC disappoint again? Kenny, OKC disappointed? Yes. Last year, they were very disappointed. Who cares if they made the playoffs? Think about what happened. They brought in a star player in Paul George. They won just one more game in the regular season and one more game in the postseason. If you ask me, that is a disappointed season. 2 years ago, when Russell Westbrook won his MVP, that roster that he led to the playoffs was trash. And then you bring in Paul George. You should be a lot better, but they were only 1 win better or 2 wins better when you count in the playoffs. They can't disappoint again. They got the shoot on the squad. They have to have a good season. And my question is, will they? The Timberwolves, can you keep Jimmy Butler? Because us Bulls fans are over here laughing because if somehow Jimmy Butler decides he doesn't want to be in Minnesota no more, we won that trade. We got Zach LaVine, Laurie Market, and Chris Dunn. All look like they're going to be solid. Maybe nobody's a superstar out of that, but all 3 solid pieces. And y'all got back in return 2 years of somebody and he walks away? I don't know, dog. Y'all got to keep him. If you lose him, whew, it's going to be tough because last year when he was injured, y'all struggled to win games. So you can't afford to lose him. Y'all, I don't know what y'all got to do to get him to stay, but y'all got to make it happen. Trailblazers, can you afford another year of being middle of the pack? Kevin Durant did something funny on CJ McCollum's podcast, basically told CJ straight to his face, y'all knew y'all weren't winning the championship last year. The whole world knew, you know? Can you afford another year like that? Y'all need to make changes to try to get this team better, and they just haven't done it. They brought in Seth Curry. That don't make you a contender. The Warriors, how will you incorporate Boogie Cousins? I know at the press release, he was like, yeah, I'm okay with taking less shots, but that's easy to say before you're on the court. Once you're on the court, I'm sure Boogie is going to want the shots. He's been a #1 guy pretty much his entire career. And even the year and a half he was with the Pelicans, him and Anthony Davis were averaging like the same amount of shots per game. So he's always been like a #1 option. And now he's going from #1 to potentially #3, #4. That may be tough on him. Carmelo Anthony said he was going to be okay with taking less shots. You saw how that got him at OKC. So my main question is, how do you incorporate him into their offense? And lastly, for the Washington Wizards, my question for you. Are these signings going to work? I mean, individually, the signings make sense. You got a new center in Dwight Howard, but Dwight Howard, as far as every team he's hit over the past couple years, the team has just said he was kind of a cancer to the locker room. Do you want that? And then you got Austin Rivers, who was practically in a fight while in the suit last year with Trevor Ariza. Do you want that? And then Jeff Green has shown to be one of the most inconsistent players in NBA history. Do you really want that? And you add them all together in a team that's already just been, just will it work? I don't know. That's like one of my biggest questions out of all 30 of these. That's one of my biggest questions. It's like, will the Washington Wizards work next year? And that is everything. These are always longer videos, so if you got to this point in the video, you are the guy. And just let me know that you made it to this part of the video. But as I said, I'm the guy. Just write, I'm the guy in the comment section, so I know that you are real for sticking through this entire video. Thank you so much for getting to this point. 300K, I think I mentioned a few days ago, but yeah, we did it. Thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow. I should be uploading on the gaming channel later today too, so if you're a fan of 2K and gaming and stuff, go subscribe. Link is always in the description. Thank y'all so much. Peace.